Roman Reigns just handed out 2 Ula Falas on Monday Night Raw, and the man he left standing empty-handed is the most dangerous person in that entire group. Jacob Fatu didn't say a word about it. He didn't have to. Because what happened after that snub is the clearest signal WWE has given in months that the Bloodline's next betrayal isn't coming from Solo Sikoa. It's coming from the Samoan Werewolf himself, and once you see everything that happened in that one segment, you'll understand exactly why. Welcome back to WWE Galaxy, I'm Nova. Tonight we're breaking down 4 separate moments from this week's Raw that on their own look like small details you might scroll right past. Put them together and they spell out exactly how WWE is setting up Jacob Fatu to turn on Roman Reigns. Stick with me because once you see this pattern, you're not going to be able to watch Fatu stand quietly in the background ever again without wondering what he's actually thinking behind those eyes. Let's start with the coronation because this is where it all begins. After Jey and Jimmy Uso delivered Solo Sikoa to Roman Reigns, Roman stood in the middle of the ring and made it official. He told the world that the twins called the play, executed the play, and leveled up. He named them his captains. He said if you disrespect them, you disrespect him. And then he placed 2 black Ula Falas around their necks, officially anointing them as made men in his family, live in front of the entire arena. Jacob Fatu got nothing. Not a nod, not a mention, not a necklace, not so much as eye contact. The most physically dominant member of this entire group stood in that ring and watched 2 of his cousins get elevated above him in real time, on camera, with the whole roster watching from backstage monitors, and he didn't hide how he felt about it. He looked furious, dejected, left out in a way that read as genuinely personal, not performative. This is a man who has spent this entire year doing the Bloodline's dirtiest, ugliest work, week after week, and the reward for all of it was standing there watching somebody else get the necklace he never even got considered for. Think about the optics of that moment for a second. Roman didn't forget Fatu was standing there. In a scripted segment, every prop, every necklace, every name called is a deliberate choice. WWE chose to put 2 Ula Falas in Roman's hands and chose to make sure there wasn't a third. That's not an oversight, that's a message, and it was aimed directly at the one guy in that ring capable of doing something about it. Now here's where it gets more interesting, because Fatu wasn't just excluded from the reward. Watch what Roman actually used him for that same night. When Solo Sikoa was brought to the ring, it was Fatu who was sent in first to soften him up with a Tongan death grip. When LA Knight showed up to disrupt the whole segment, it was Fatu who blindsided him from behind before he could even get his footing. Twice in one segment, Fatu did the physical dirty work that made the moment possible for everyone else to look good. And both times, the second he tried to keep going, Roman stopped him, told him to back off, took over the moment himself, and delivered the Superman punch that finished LA Knight off personally, right in front of Fatu, like he was reminding him who the star of the show actually is. Think about what that actually communicates to a character like Fatu. He isn't being treated like the most dangerous man in that stable, even though everyone watching knows he is. He's being treated like muscle you pull off the shelf when there's dirty work that needs doing, and put right back on the shelf the second the credit is about to be handed out. That's not how you treat a killer you respect. That's how you treat a tool, and tools eventually get tired of being put away. And if you think Fatu just shrugged that off and moved on with his night, wait until you hear what he did, or more accurately, what he refused to do when everything in that ring fell apart just a few minutes later. Because here's the moment that should have every Bloodline fan rewinding their DVR. Roman orders Solo to finish off LA Knight for good. The Usos hold Knight in place so there's no way out. Solo apologizes to Knight, almost like he's talking himself into it, turns around and hits Roman Reigns with the Samoan Spike instead. Complete chaos erupts in an instant. Knight starts taking out the Usos one at a time. Solo starts taking out Jey on the outside of the ring. The entire Bloodline hierarchy that Roman just spent minutes building up gets dismantled piece by piece, right there in the middle of the ring, in front of a stunned crowd. And where is Jacob Fatu during all of this? Standing there, watching, doing absolutely nothing. This is a man capable of ending that entire fight in about 4 seconds if he wanted to. He chose instead to just observe while the group he supposedly serves got taken apart in front of him without lifting a single finger to stop it. Multiple people covering the show live noticed the exact same detail independently. Fatu just stood there, following orders, refusing to intervene while everything fell apart. If Fatu were truly locked in as Roman's loyal attack dog, that's the exact moment he steps in and shows it. He didn't. And in wrestling, when a character doesn't do the thing every instinct says they should do, that absence isn't nothing. That absence is the story WWE is telling you. And if that wasn't enough evidence on its own, WWE gave us one more piece before the night was even over. Backstage, after all the chaos had settled, Jey Uso walked directly up to Jacob Fatu and rubbed the entire night in his face. He asked him, point blank, "Who's the punk now?" And Fatu had nothing to say back. No comeback, no attitude, no physical response, nothing at all, just silence. Think about how loaded that silence actually is for a character like this. This is a guy who has never once in his entire run been at a loss for words or intimidation, a guy who built his entire reputation on being the scariest presence backstage. The fact that WWE chose to end his night with him getting mocked directly by Jey Uso and having absolutely no response isn't a throwaway backstage moment they threw in to fill time. That's a character being written very deliberately as someone who's had enough and doesn't even have the energy left to fight back verbally anymore, because whatever response is actually coming isn't going to be a comeback line on a backstage segment. It's going to be something much bigger. Stack these four pieces on top of each other, and the pattern writes itself out almost too clearly. Fatu gets excluded from the reward everyone else in the family just received. Fatu gets used for the dirty work and then physically shut down the second he tries to take any initiative of his own. Fatu watches the entire hierarchy above him collapse in real time and does absolutely nothing to stop it or save it. And Fatu gets mocked to his face by the very people who just got promoted over him, with zero response. That's not a loyal enforcer just having a rough night at the office. That's a slow, very deliberate build toward a breaking point, laid out step by step in a single hour of television. Here's my theory, and I think it's the only one that actually connects all four of these dots. Jacob Fatu is done taking orders from a family that uses him constantly and rewards him for none of it. The next time Roman corners Solo Sikoa in LA Knight, expecting Fatu to finally finish the job he's been asked to do all year long, Fatu is going to turn his back on Roman completely. He's going to align with Solo and LA Knight instead, and the three of them are going to leave the rest of the bloodline laid out in the middle of the ring together. To be clear, WWE hasn't confirmed any of this outright, and there's been no official announcement pointing toward a Fatu turn. This is a theory built entirely off the body language, the deliberate booking choices, and the silence WWE chose to end his segment on. But when a company keeps stacking this many small, pointed snubs on one specific character inside a single episode, it's usually not an accident, and it's usually not filler either. Do you think Jacob Fatu is about to turn on Roman Reigns and side with Solo and LA Knight, or is he still locked in as the loyal enforcer no matter how many times he gets left out in the cold? Drop your theory in the comments below. I want to see who else caught these details live while it was happening. If this broke it down for you, subscribe, because we're staying on this storyline closely as it develops week to week. I'll see you in the next one.